No, no, Julie, you're not interrupting. It's just I was talking to. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, or should I say good day? Hello? Hello, hello.
The flag is showing.
Well, welcome to everyone. It's so good to see everyone. It's been an exciting last 2 weeks, and it's so nice to see Julie Randall here. She was one of our wonderful co-mates in Australia. So with that being said, as many of you heard, and I just said, I just returned, as Julie did, from the Rotary International Convention in Melbourne, Australia. It was a heck of a long flight. Flew from Cleveland to San Francisco, which was about 4 hours, and then about 16 down to Melbourne. And so it was somewhat of an endurance test. And my body clock still thinks I'm in Australia, so I've been drinking coffee in the afternoon to stay awake and forget that it's really 12:10 p.m. in Melbourne, and it's ready to be Wednesday. So with that being said, it was a grand time, so I'm thankful to be there. The convention officially ended this past Wednesday, so it hasn't even been over a week. And when it ended, there was a very beautiful message to all the fellow Rotarians gathered there from around the world. And that was a message of hope. And that hope was given to all present to be carried forward into our Rotary year of 2023-24. The 2022-23 Rotary year officially ends June 30th. Well, after imagining the future of Rotary in Melbourne, the members and speakers at the convention did look ahead to next year's gathering in Singapore. So start thinking ahead and planning, and it'll be an exciting time in Singapore. And being able to share that hope with the world by a new focus from our new incoming RI president of mental health and well-being. So during that closing session, the new 2023-24 international president, R. Gordon McNally, explained why he's asking members to make mental health a priority. When his only brother took his own life, McNally said he became determined to fight the stigma around mental health issues, and expand access to care. He also urged us as Rotarian members to create hope in our world by getting involved and taking action at a critical moment in history. And he quoted, "To create hope, we must continue to do our important work and do it better than ever before." He went on to say, "We must focus on our efforts to build peace across our globe, and we must help each other to find peace within ourselves. And we need to share the ethic of care to the people that we all serve." In her closing remarks, our Rotary International President, Jennifer Jones, who, as we all know, made history of our organization as being the first female president, She made the connection between imagining Rotary, the idea of her president's theme, and hope, which is of the new incoming president's goal. And she said, we don't imagine yesterday, and we always don't look for hope in the past. Hope and imagine are words for tomorrow, words that propel us forward, and they build upon each other and offer a path forward, a path of continuity. So we look forward to a new year of 2023-24. So with those words of wisdom that I shared from the convention, it's great to be home. I'm Linda Farkas, only president for a few more weeks of our wonderful club. And I thank all of you for being here today, and also our wonderful friends online. At this time, if you would please, if you're able, stand. We'll say our pledge of allegiance, our four-way test, and our invocation today by Connor Jarvis. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our four-way test. Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all? Connor, please. Thanks.
No, everyone's thankful I'm not doing this more regularly. I'm just signing up indicators, but I'm filling in for Cindy today. As many of you may know, or some might not have thought about, today is the 79th anniversary of D-Day, Operation Overlord. It was the largest amphibious invasion in military history and brought together all forces, air, land, and sea. I thought it was interesting. The force included 7,000 ships, 195,000 Navy personnel from the 8 allied countries, 156,000 troops landed, roughly 156,000 troops landed that day. There were 10.3 thousand or 10,300 casualties estimated by the Allied forces, or for the Allied forces. But by June 30th, 1944, 850,000 troops, 148,000 vehicles, 570,000 tons of supplies had landed on the Normandy, or on the shores of France, and it really turned the tide of the war. The fighting by the Allied Western Front, as we know, changed the tide of the war, the course of history, and ultimately, May 7th, 1945, Germany issued their unconditional surrender. So I wanted to share today a prayer that Franklin D. Roosevelt, president at the time, used to address the nation on June 6th. And again, I thought it'd be fitting to share that, and those words I think still ring true today for all the brave men and women fighting for our nation and allied forces around the world, the men and women of Ukraine. I just think it's a fitting prayer. So if you'd bow your heads with me. My fellow Americans, last night when I spoke with you about the fall of Rome, I knew at that moment that the troops of the United States and our allies were crossing the channel in another and greater operation. It has come to pass with success thus far. And so in this poignant hour, I ask you to join with me in prayer. Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic, our religion, and our civilization, and to set free a suffering humanity. Lead them straight and true. Give strength to their arms, stoutness to their hearts, steadfastness in their faith. They will need thy blessings. Their road will be long and hard, for the enemy is strong. He may hurl back our forces. Success may not come with rushing speed, but we shall return again and again. And we know that by thy grace and by the righteousness of our cause, our sons will triumph. They will be sore tried by night and by day, without rest until the victory is won. The darkness will be rent by noise and flame. Men's souls will be shaken with the violences of war. For these men are lately drawn from the ways of peace. They fight not for the lust of conquest. They fight to end conquest. They fight to liberate. They fight to let justice arise in tolerance and goodwill among all thy people. They yearn but for the end of battle, for their return to the haven of home. Some will never return. Embrace these, Father, and receive them, thy heroic servants, into thy kingdom. And for us at home, fathers, mothers, children, wives, sisters, and brothers of brave men overseas, whose thoughts and prayers are ever with them, help us, Almighty God, to rededicate ourselves in renewed faith in Thee in this hour of great sacrifice. Many people have urged that I call the nation to a single day of prayer, but because the road is long and the desire is great, I ask that our people devote themselves in a continuance of prayer as we rise to each new day, and again when each day is spent. Let words of prayer be on our lips, invoking thy help to our efforts. Give us strength too, strength in our daily tasks to redouble the contributions we make in the physical and the material support of our armed forces. And let our hearts be stout, to wait out the long travail, to bear sorrows that may come, to impart our courage unto our sons wheresoever they may be. And, O Lord, give us faith. Give us faith in Thee, faith in our sons, faith in each other, faith in our united crusade. Let not the keenness of our spirit ever be dulled. Let not the impacts of temporary events, of temporal matters, of but fleeting moment, let not these deter us in our unconquerable purpose. With thy blessing, we shall prevail over the unholy forces of our enemy. Help us to conquer the apostles of greed and racial arrogancies. Lead us to the saving of our country, and with our sister nations into a world unity that will spell a sure peace, a peace invulnerable to the schemings of unworthy men, and a peace that will let all of men live in freedom, reaping the just rewards of their honest toil. Thy will be done, Almighty God. Amen.
Thank you, and you may be seated. I want to say a special thank you for military service. Jack Herrick, Army, and Dan O'Connell, Army. So thank you both gentlemen. I don't know if any of our folks here today had military service, but thanks to Jack and Don for your military service. So let's give them a round of our hands. So please, thank you. Thank you. So Dr. Rob, you're it.
Good afternoon, everybody. We have a guest with us today. We'll introduce our speaker a little bit later. I won't steal the mojo's mojo. David Laviere is here as a visiting Rotarian from the Medina Sunrise Club, correct? Right. All right. And he arranged to bring two guests that are sitting with him. Dave, did you want to introduce them?
Good morning. It's always wonderful to be here with you today. Thank you, President Linda, and certainly Dr. Susan. Just delighted you could join me. It's very special, and we're very proud that the Akron Rotary Club has stepped up to continue to support youth development, international goodwill by sponsoring this young man here with me today. This is Micaiah, and you will grow comfortable in saying his name and get to know him more. I'm going to give the microphone to him.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hywet. This is my mom. I'm happy to be here and looking forward to working with Rotary to spend a year abroad in France. Nice to meet everybody.
And where are you going?
Brittany in France.
Okay. He's going to France, so let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
A great opportunity. And you're a junior at Hoban?
Yeah, right. I'm about to be senior.
Okay, so he'll be, yeah, because school's out, right?
Yes,
So he's a upcoming wonderful senior at Hoban High School, but he'll finish his senior year in France. So God's blessings.
That's wonderful. And his mother's name is Erin Cabea.
Camille.
Third time's a charm.
Tough one.
And Tom Kamauer has a guest.
Thanks, Dr. Rob. Guest is Marissa Roof, who's here with me. Marissa is on track to become a member soon, so please welcome her.
Hello, I'm Marissa Roof. I'm with NAI Pleasant Valley. I'm a commercial real estate broker, and I met paying below through another organization and became interested in the service side of things, and I'm looking forward to becoming a member.
Yeah. She's on our docket for next Tuesday, so we'll get her done.
Any other guests?
All good, thanks, Dr. Rob, thank you so much. And Erin, I neglected, because I know that you have military in your background, and so proud to have you here, and thank you for your service and time to our country. So thank you. And please come back again, even though son will be gone off to France, you're always welcome.
Thank you.
So thank you. Dr. Rob or Connor, does one of you, Connor, you want to do happy dollars real quick, please?
Anyone happy today? I hope someone's happy.
Somebody's got to be happy.
Got to be happy here. All right, Stu's happy. I'll swing back around. All right.
Okay, I always pay money to make my announcements, but they're happy dollars, but I'm paying $5 to make an announcement. I put on the table the flyer for End Polio Now against the game is going to be on August 17th at Progressive Field with the Guardians, and we'd like to have as many of these as can come. Last year we raised over $6,000 at the game to get the March on the Field, Terrace Club, the whole shop. So if you have any questions, see me. You should have gotten an email on this past week, and I put some flyers on the table. Also, one other announcement, if anybody's interested, the Beautification Watch Award canvassing by the Keep Akron Beautiful, I have a flyer on that. It's going to be in July. If anybody wants to volunteer to be a canvas volunteer, let me know. We've usually had 4 or 5 Rotarians do that. It's a lot of fun. Dan Connell can speak to that. He's already signed up. If anybody else would like to, see me. Thank you.
Thanks, Stu.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, thank you. All right. Who else? All right, I'm trying to see. Any of these, does one mic sound better than the other? Anyone? Same? All right, this one? Okay. That's better. Let's see. Coming over here, we got a few folks that are happy. Dan, all right.
I got 2 happy dollars. I got 2 happy dollars. For our 50th wedding anniversary in April, we went on a cruise in Europe. That was nice, but on the way back, I wouldn't announce this, except on the way back, my son, who was on the trip on a different plane, because he was going back to Madison, Wisconsin, helped a passenger who got real sick on the plane, and he helped avoid them making an emergency landing by monitoring the guy and assuring the pilot that he could make it all the way to Atlanta. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Congratulations on that. Thank you.
I have 2 happy dollars, one for our student and one for our new Rotarian.
Thanks, Jack.
All right,
Good.
making our way over here. Mike and then Dr. Rob.
All right, I got 2 happy dollars. So just this past weekend, just super proud of my 12-year-old. They were down in Canton for our soccer tournament, NGL soccer tournament, and my little guy usually rides the bench. He comes in when the game's put away already, but the game went to kind of the extra time, and he came in and played in that extra period and got the go-ahead goal. And with the goal, he earned a trip to Colorado for the Nationals. So, I'm excited. And then, thank you. The second happy dollar is my 16-year-old got his first job working at a golf course, and he's a golfer. So just happy that he's doing something and not sitting home playing video games all summer. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
That's good.
All right, oh, yes, Dr. Rob, sorry.
I have 5 happy dollars, 2 for the 2 of you that just got back from down under.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to see some of those photos. I haven't been on Facebook for a while, so I'll do that. And I have 3 to remind you, when Lynn was talking about mental health is an important aspect of this next year. You may not know this, but while we were down in COVID, I got together with the chair of psychiatry at SUMA and founded a 501c3 not-for-profit. It's called Akron Physician Wellness Initiative. And I'm happy to say that at the end of last month, we have served, this is in 2.5 years in service, we've served 302 providers from students' medical staff and children's medical staff with free confidential health care.
Thanks, Dr. Rob. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. Rob. Anyone else happy? All right, all right. So far, we got 2 Lincolns and 6 Washingtons. We're adding to the pot.
Once again, it's just been delightful to get to know Mikhail and his mother, Erin, and I hope you have that opportunity as I have had. They are just wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
I'm happy, Tyler, and I'm happy to be here today. Happy to be with everybody.
Good, thank you.
We're wishing you the best on your endeavors for the next year. All right,
Yeah.
Dr. Doug.
My announcements keep adding. First of all, 16-year-olds can play in the Chili Open. Just a little reminder there. Secondly, the Cascade Locks Park Association, that's how I got into Rotary, thank you, Jenny, is having their Duck Derby this Saturday, June 10th, down at Buskell Store. My wife and I, unfortunately, will miss it because, fortunately, one of my former students is getting married. We're invited, so we're going to be in North Carolina that day.
Good.
And then finally, soft-hearted as we are, the neighbor kids found a kitten who is currently living in our house and has yet been unclaimed. So when you're buying your lottery tickets today, the kitten is actually the prize.
All right. Laura, welcome. Anyone else happy? Going once, going twice? You'd be happy internally. We got $23 for the pot, so that is it. Linda, back to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. I'll just zip through some real quick announcements. Don't forget our service project this month, June 28th, is at the Akron Canton Food Bank. And I know that David Hall sent out a request. So please make certain you sign up. We have a great time. We work hard for 2 hours and then we have a joyous celebration afterwards. So again, June 28th. And Tom, thank you for your membership. Appreciate that. Ms. Mella, quickly, something exciting is happening at camp.
Yes, Sunday we had our overnight campers ride for the first week of overnight camp, and yesterday the day campers ride. So camp is so much fun right now. The campers and the counselors, they had such a great day. Thursday night is our first camp cookout, so please come out. 6 o'clock dinner served, come out a little earlier, enjoy everybody. If you can't make cookouts this summer, just please come to camp. Bring a friend, bring a colleague, bring someone you know, and introduce them to you. We would love to show that team. So please, we hope to see you all at camp this summer.
Thanks, Mel. Again, it's so wonderful to have our kids at camp, so.
What day is that again?
Pardon?
Is that, what days are those?
Thursdays. Yeah, they start this Thursday, correct, Mela?
Correct.
What time?
6 o'clock is dinner.
6 o'clock is dinner, so all are welcome. So it's always fun to be on the lake and have dinner with the kids, so even if you're not serving, so. And you get to sing camp songs, which are wonderful, so it's fun. So SOS, your membership dues are due, folks, don't forget. We've got several people that haven't paid yet, so FYI. That's how we generate the majority of our revenue, so please, Cheryl's done a great job of sending out a reminder, so don't forget. And Terry Dalton, God bless him, he did our AZ Baker Award submission, and it looks pretty good that Akron will once again come out on top, so we're very proud of everyone's efforts. In the middle of your table, we have the Souls for Soul. Don't forget, if you have shoes that you want to donate, all sizes for kids to adults, please bring them and I'll deliver them to the Brighton store at Summit Mall. So it's a nice little service project that we can do. And Stu, thank you for mentioning the baseball game, August 17th. We'll look forward to doing that. So With that being said, Dave, yes, sir.
Is it on? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So, as many of you know, Julianne was working on some sort of social event with at the Akron Rubber Ducks games. I have some information. It's going to be a little bit wordier for me, not nearly as wordy as Connor, but I will be sending out an email. We have a list of games that range from, we'll call it the end of August to the middle of September. And we're looking to do a Tiki Terrace reservation that includes like pulled pork, hamburgers, hot dogs, soft drinks, etc. And your ticket. It's $32 a person, and we would need a minimum of 24 people to be able to do this. So I'm thinking if everybody in this room agrees this is something we should do, that I'll send out an email and kind of coordinate some dates that will work. And you can bring family, you can bring friends. We're not limited to like 24. I'd have to find out exactly what our maximum number is, but again, there's a couple Tuesday night games, a Sunday game, a Friday night, another Sunday night. There's a game coming up like in a couple weeks, and that's just, we thought it was too soon for that. But be able to look out for an email from there, and then I will be announcing as well after I'm looking for David Hall, he's not here. It is his birthday today, if he's online. I'll be announcing that we will be doing just grabbing dinner or drinks after the Akron Food Bank again at the end of July. So, thank you.
Very good, thanks, David. We'll look forward to that baseball game. So
Hey,
very
in my
good.
defense, those were FDR's words, not mine.
It's always nice to shift the blame, Connor. Okay, any other quick announcements that I neglected? So it's good, Julie, it's good to see you back home too. So, yeah, you had a fabulous trip. So Julie extended her time and she got to hold a koala bear, so lucky duck. Yeah. Yeah, you did. It was a fun trip. We met a lot of really wonderful people, and I think Julie and I extend the invitation to all that there's nothing like an international convention to meet and greet other fellow Rotarians from around the world. It's a common bond, and I know Stu has been abroad, and I know Jack's been abroad, and it's a fun, memorable time. Hard to describe, I think, sometimes, but put it on your list of to-dos and places to go. And I think Singapore will be a great place next year. So we have a fabulous speaker today. I'm so excited to have him here. So we want to welcome John. And would you like to introduce him? My dear Jerry.
Good afternoon. John Fiume is John S. Knight Director and CEO of the Akron Art Museum. He has been serving Akron arts and culture scene for over 20 years. His past contributions have included serving on the boards of the Akron Art Museum, Weathervane Playhouse, ArtsNow, and Stan Hywet Hall and Gardens. He is currently a Public Arts Commissioner for the City of Akron, Board Member, Leadership Akron, member of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee for ArtsNow, and a member of the Arts Advancement Council for the University of Akron. As of February 2022, John has been serving as John S. Knight Director and CEO of the Akron Art Museum. He graduated from John Carroll University with a degree in Spanish and a minor in marketing. He also holds a State of Ohio Medical Board license to practice massage therapy. He is a past graduate of Leadership Akron Class 22 and was recognized by Crane's Cleveland Business Under 40 in 2006. Since 2020, John has been the interim executive director of the Akron Art Museum. Prior, he held positions as its COO for Mustard Seed Market and Cafe and vice president of retail operations for Richmond Pharmacies. John has also provided coaching and consultative services to individuals and organizations looking to grow and develop. In his spare time, John enjoys art, travel, and all facets of wellness, including hiking, biking, and physical conditioning. John currently resides in Akron, Ohio with his partner, Mark. John?
Thank you, Jerry. And let me just pull up the presentation. It's good to be here this afternoon, and I've spoken to a few Rotary groups, and I'll have to tell you, you guys are the happiest. I've never seen so much money raised. Usually might get like $5 or $7. I'm like, man, you guys are flipping out the fives, and like, this is great. All right. Let's share screen. So this is a little bit of a different computer for me, but I am figuring it out.
Play it from beginning. There you go.
Okay, I think the people on Zoom can see me, correct? All right.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Great. So being the fact that I am looking at you and looking at them, you're just going to have to bear with me and go, why is he doing? You know? But anyhow, it's great to be here this afternoon, and again, very, very wonderful energy. These types of presentations are the ones I most enjoy, and to be a representative of the Akron Art Museum, I should fill in one little key component on my bio. I sat on the board of the Akron Art Museum for 10 years, from 2005 until 2015. So it wasn't as though I was just sort of a drop there and said, okay, you know, go lead this organization. So I was definitely familiar with the staff and familiar with a lot of pieces and parts of the operations and things of that sort. It's really been, arts and culture has been a passion of mine, as Paul would know as well, and just extremely important to the vibrancy and the health of a community. So our mission is that we invite all people to enrich their lives through modern and contemporary art. And so the Akron Art Museum has actually been around for 100 years. We just started our second century this past February, which is a little bit mind-blowing. And I should have asked at the beginning, but how many of you have ever been to the Akron Art Museum by a show of hands? Oh, well, then what am I doing here? You can give this present. This is even better. Usually I'm in front of a Rotary Club and they're like, well, where is it? And I'm like, so this is great. I really appreciate that. So that's really good news. So we are excited to be celebrating our centennial and moving into the next 100 years. We have been around Akron at various locations through our history, but since the 1980s, we have been, and I'll show you the first picture again here real quick, in this the 1899 post office building, which is Akron's original post office. And so that building itself is slated for renovation, and I'll explain that here momentarily. So in honor, just I'm going to be sharing some tidbits of information along the way, but along with that, if anyone has any questions, definitely just feel free to interrupt me, because what's important to me when I share information is that all of you are having your questions answered or your comments shared, and that you leave here today with a little bit more information about the museum. But Don Drum, in honor of our 100th anniversary, designed this butter moth. I'm going to say it's a whole series, so sculptures, pins, things of that sort, and it's to tie directly into our garden. So if you've not had a chance to visit our garden, it's right in between Broadway and High Street there. And so we're very fortunate that Don actually contacted us to say, in honor of your 100th, because Don Drum actually attended the Akron Art Institute, which was the art school before we even became a museum. And that's also where he met his wife. And so it has a special meaning to him and his family. And so we're very honored for him to create that. So that's available in the gift shop, just a little plug there. So really happy about that. So the collection itself, everything in the collection is considered modern and contemporary, meaning from 1850 until present day. So yes, 1850 in art history books is considered to be modern. We have over 7,000 objects in the collection, and probably at a given moment, I'd say maybe 3 to 4% of that is on view. So we have a storage way down in the bowels of the museum that holds the remaining of the collection, with the exception of one sculpture, which we store off-site. And then 40% of the collection is actually in photography, and a lot of people don't know that. We need to tell a better story about that photography collection, because on the national stage, the Akron Art Museum is very well recognized for its photography collection. We do have one gallery in the museum that's 100% dedicated to photography, and so we're very happy about that. And right now, we've been working since 2020 to really diversify the collection to be more representational of the community of which we serve. So if you look at how museums are what I call curated through the years, a lot of that is driven by the given curator or the executive director at the moment, and also reflects the times that we're in. And where we're at right now, we really need to be more relatable to the Akron community, and so our collection should reflect that as well. So we have definitely been putting a lot of time and attention in our recent acquisitions to be sure that we're representing minority artists, women, people of color, so on and so forth, including where people live. So, so we're really very much tied into local artists and regional artists as well. So just to kind of give you a few images of some of the pieces in our collection, I'm not going to go into every detail here, but when we do show these, we like to give the credit of which to the artist. This is Larry Pittman's, called Thankfully I Will Have Learned to Break Glass with Sound. Very large painting that's in the collection, very well. Larry Pittman's a very well internationally recognized artist. Ella Natsui, if anybody remember seeing that, that's the phenomenal object that is actually made from the wrappings around the necks of liquor bottles. And so, and Ella Natsui is actually a Ghana-born artist, and we were one of the first museums to give him a show, and now he's also internationally known. And so I share that with all of you because the Akron Art Museum, for numerous reasons, but definitely in a way that's very intentful, has just had this incredible way of bringing in artists earlier in their career and helping to launch their career at a large scale. So sometimes it's not unusual for us to have maybe a piece of artwork that we have before any of the major galleries in New York does. And so that's sort of a, something that a lot of people don't recognize or know, but something we should be proud of being here in Akron. La Wilson, this is a good example. La Wilson is from Hudson, Ohio. And so we have probably 6 to 8 of her pieces in our collection. So a good example of some regionalism. And then Helen Levitt, who's a famous New York photographer. Just kind of give you a sort of a broad stroke of the type of art that we have. Cindy Sherman, also a famous photographer. All of Cindy Sherman's artwork actually are pictures of herself. She's still very active in the art world. And then, of course, the infamous Andy Warhol. So we have Brillo boxes. Just a little tidbit of information. When I first arrived at the museum, I was like, wow, we have these Brillo boxes. Until a curator took me to the side and said, Andy Warhol actually produced about 8,000 of those, and those are pretty easy to find in any museum. So I don't like to show that too often, but because they're kind of fun. I think people automatically sort of know that's Andy Warhol. But we do have Andy Warhol's portrait of Elvis Presley that he did, and so that is one of the rare objects that we do have. But we'll still be proud of those Brillo boxes for sure. And then Elliot Torrey, I'd love to share this one just for curiosity, but this was actually, it's called Surf, and this is actually the first piece in our collection. And so again, you kind of see the extremes, and that's what's one of the most wonderful things about having a modern and contemporary art museum in your community, is that you see just a broad spectrum of artwork, and not everything has to be, well, if it's contemporary, it's got to be unusual. It all can be very relatable. And the most exciting thing is we just opened our Keith Haring Against All Odds. So I got my little pin on today that Julie pointed out, which is pretty amazing. And Keith Haring had a very short-lived career for about 10 years between 1980 and 1990, and was a pop artist. And basically went to school in New York City, dropped out of school, and started doing drawings in the subways of New York and starting to gain a lot of exposure. Most of us, and when we were preparing for the show, I was showing people that I knew around the community saying, hey, we got Keith Haring, and they'd say, who's that? And I'd be like, but once I showed them an image, they're like, oh yeah, I know who that is, because they've probably bought a piece of clothing from The Gap or some other licensed item or product with his artwork on it. So we're very excited about this show. I do encourage all of you to come. I do have 2 free passes for everyone today, by the way, and because the show is going to run until September 24th. Now, what's important about this show for all of you to know, Keith Haring is literally one of the top pop culture artists, specifically in the history of the U.S., but it's also wonderful because it's a very positive and uplifting show. And one of the things that I worked with our team on was really making sure we had relatability to the broad community. So art museums can sometimes be very intimidating, or maybe not a place for me, or no, that's all stuffy stuff, I don't want to go see that. But this is a very positive, uplifting show, even though Keith himself had a challenging life. But the artwork itself, it's easy to understand. You don't have to go into major depth of understanding of what this is all about. And quite frankly, Keith Haring really believed that, somebody asked him, why don't you tell us the meaning of your work? He goes, that's your job. My job is to paint it. Your job is you define the meaning of what you want it to be. So this is exactly what is exemplified in this exhibition. And I also love the fact that I really believe right now, with many of the challenges specifically that this community faces, and many of the opportunities that this community has, this is such good timing to have a show like this. It's a very, very much uplifting. So it's receiving rave reviews. It was just in the Beacon, I want to say, about 10 days ago. We're getting a lot of positive press on it. So definitely, if you get a chance, come down and see that. So we're more than just exhibitions. We have a lot of other different departments, one of which is our learning and engagement, which is extremely important to us. And again, when I mentioned about being relatable to the community, we actually provide every 4th grader in the Akron Public School System with a tour. So, and that tour is usually around 3 to 4 hours. And so there's a lot of activities. It's more than just bringing them through the galleries. They're actually sitting on the gallery floors, and they are participating in some sort of learning activity. So if you can imagine in today's world, when many school systems are strapped for dollars, specifically for art class and things of that sort, this is filling a very important need. We also provide school tours throughout the year, where we actually will cover the cost of busing. And then we also have a docent corps that will provide tours for groups such as yourself, or if there's any other church groups and things of that sort that maybe you have connections with. Just some things coming up. We're doing a Camp Creative coming up on June 21st. So again, we have the garden available, so we look outside the walls of the gallery. We do have at all times open studio. So during COVID, we shut down our library. That was something that had to go away. And so we kind of repurposed it to what's called open studio. So you can bring yourself or any of the young ones in your life, and it's just a space designed for creating whatever it is that you wish. We provide all the supplies, and it's just sort of free form art creativity. So we have a lot of people that bring down their grandkids, and it's just another way to engage them into the museum. We have a wellness festival coming up on June 15th, which is great. So again, we look at our programming not to be just about specific pieces of artwork, but how does art come into your life? How can we tie it in initiatives like wellness, which also reminds me of what Linda was sharing about mental health and how important that is. And there's some really good studies out there regarding the positive impact of visiting a museum on one's mental health. And so that is something that we like to always point out. And that was something that we actually used during writing some of our grants for post-pandemic support, things of that sort. So keep in mind that the Akron Art Museum can be a resource for that. And then we have an art walk coming up this Friday. So we're very much engaged with the community, and so we're going to join forces with Summit Art Space, which focuses on local artists, which is right behind us, and the Akron Public Library. And then we're also working with another group, which is going to bring artwork regarding social justice, and that's going to happen in our back parking lot this Friday. So it's called Art Walk, and we do that on a quarterly basis with them. And then we have coming up Coffee with the Curator. And so our curator who put together the Keith Haring show is, and that's another pieces of artwork from Keith Haring. We'll actually get into a deeper dive of Keith Haring's artwork on that day. And again, all of this is online. And then we're doing a step in the studio and doing some Keith Haring jewelry design. So we have a member of the staff who actually creates their own earrings in the spirit of Keith Haring. And so you can come here, you can come to the museum and make your own earrings. And then we do yoga in the galleries as well. So if you could imagine, and I'll share this with this group, the value of the Keith Haring collection show is, let's just say it's almost close to 6 figures. And if you can imagine, if any of you like to do yoga, being on the floor of that gallery and doing yoga right next to some incredible artwork from Keith Haring. So it's a really cool experience. I would encourage you to try it. It sells out each and every time, and but it's another wonderful way for people to engage. And so what we're finding out is that you don't always have to come to the art museum and stand there and read the signs on the wall and act all serious. As a matter of fact, we don't even tell people to be quiet anymore. We have gallery guides that come around and teach you about the artwork as well, or maybe they have something in their pocket that's the same material that the artwork was made out of, so that you can touch it and feel it. But we really want to be able to open those galleries in a way that everybody can connect to. So one of the things that we did when I was showing you the previous pieces of art is that we've themed each of the galleries and given them a name, which is a great way to sort of enter that gallery, see the word abstraction, understand what the word abstraction is all about, and then realize that, okay, all of these pieces in this gallery is all about abstraction, or another one on landscape or realism and things like that. So we're really looking at ways to engage people and meet them where they are. And then we do some fun stuff with music, as Paul would appreciate. We've got ballet in the garden Saturday, June 17th. And I think that's with the Cleveland Ballet, actually. And then we have has anybody been to our Downtown at Dusk concert series on Thursdays? It's been going around, it's been around for 27 years. So every Thursday in July, we will be having a free concert in the garden starting at 6:30 p.m. So really excited about that. Again, that's all free, which is wonderful. And then we have, of course, we have beer available, we have snacks available, all that good stuff. And then we host a variety of weddings and events, which is a major source of revenue, but it also provides just a wonderful backdrop for such a special occasion. And then what comes next? So as I mentioned, we're renovating the old post office. And we have just finished up last week our 3-year strategic plan, which is crucial. And it's all termed around building beyond the building. And so, again, a lot of it is being driven by community engagement. And it's also being driven about how can we use the space that we do have to relate better to the community. So we're looking at such things as how we repurpose the lobby, how do we bring more artwork into the lobby, how do we make that space engaging, how can we do more exhibitions in the garden, how can we bring artwork out to the community. So this summer we'll be visiting a lot of festivals, we're going to have a van, and we're actually going to be out of these festivals with replications of some of the artwork, and we're going to be recording people's voices, sort of like NPR's StoryCorps. And we're going to be recording people's impressions of the artwork. And then after those festivals later this summer, we're going to be installing parabolic speakers, which are speakers that kind of remind you of hair dryers in a beauty salon. And we're going to be installing those right in front of the pieces of artwork so that people can stand right underneath those and listen to the voices and the impressions. So again, we're looking at really cool ways to engage and how to incorporate the use of technology even more so. And then the actual old post office has become the Center for Digital Discovery. So along those same lines, so we will have, we'll take that first floor, and one of the spaces will actually become like a digital gallery. The other one will become a space to engage with artists or engage with artwork directly. So if you can sort of think of the Van Gogh immersive experience, we want to do our own spin on that. My goal is to actually commission a local artist to come up with something and use technology. And then the second floor will be a brand new gallery that will house the beginning of our collection. So we'll be adding gallery space and really sort of teeing up the museum for the next 100 years, which is great. Any questions? I went through that quick. Oh, good.
Thanks, John. That was great.
Yeah.
It is the post office currently housing any art or is it not part of the Akron gallery?
So as of approximately a year ago, there was a gallery on the first floor and we had to shut that down because we were not able to regulate the HVAC, so the humidity and the temperature. So that's part of the renovation. So, so the whole goal is we're going to end up replacing that entire system.
Okay, the second question is, how do you decide who is tasked with adding pieces to your permanent collection?
Sure. So we have a collections committee, and that's made up of myself, our curator, and then we have members of our board, and then we also have some outside members. So we have a art professor from the University of Akron. We have another professor from Kent State. Then we just have some people that have just a serious interest in art. So they don't serve on the board, but they serve on the committee. And so objects are presented for consideration. Typically, they're going to filter through our curator because I am not the curator by any means. But I'm always good for an opinion. Like, what is that? But nonetheless, they'll filter through our curator. And then sometimes there's a team between our curatorial department and also our design department, because the design department, they have to figure out where it's going to go and how it's going to be hung and how it's going to be secured and all that kind of stuff. We'll sort of come up with a, like, hey, we suggest that this is acquired. And then we present it to the committee and the committee votes on it. So, yes, sir.
I don't know how many exchange students we have coming here. David, would it be a thought to have them do a presentation where we took all of our exchange students and we could gather together and give them a tour of what Akron art looks like?
I like the idea because in the past, so many of you remember, we got Cleveland Day, we got Akron Day, and with COVID, we're trying to reinvent the program. So what a wonderful idea. Where they could go to the art museum, they could go to Stan Hywet, something like that.
Yeah, happy to help with that whole process. We do those things all the time. I extend, a tour for all of you. If any of you want to reach out to me directly, I know Jerry has my contact information and she can share that, but I'd be more than happy to tour you and your family. Everybody says, really? I'm like, yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to bring, it's very important. It's your museum. You should know what's happening there. So we're really excited. So let's hopefully get that program together. Yes.
Just a real quick question. I either have missed out on it or maybe it's one of the programs that stopped during COVID, but we used to attend regularly the Art and Ale program. Like, are you guys bringing that back? Or
so Art and Ale did go away with COVID. And the reason being, so Art and Ale was a phenomenal fundraiser for us. But it was really having to have all the breweries come, and they would set up a table, and yeah, I know, right? And then because of coming out of COVID, everybody was at different stages of getting back on track. And then it's just been very challenging with what I'm going to call the explosion of the breweries, just getting a date that everybody could do. And then we figured out after we went through all of that work to bring everybody in, and all of the effort, because it actually became like, there was like 2 sessions because we had so many people. Our takeaway from that wasn't, I like to call it, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. And so our ability to pivot and say, where can we make up those dollars and more so, has been the result. So we are having our annual auction this Saturday. You can also bid online, and that's wine focused. So those of you that like wine and fine wines, we do that event every year. It's already sold out, but there's ability to bid online. We also have an incredible raffle of giving away $10,000 so you buy a raffle ticket for $100, and we've only sold 126 of those. So you now have one chance, 126, to win $10,000, and we're going to cap it at 300. So even an odds of 1 in 300 is better than a scratch off. So so that's online, and the tickets are for sale until Saturday evening. Yeah, I've got information with me, of course, but that's a great opportunity as well. So we're looking at other ways such as that to be able to make up. But that was a great event.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That was fun because we would do I think Rotary volunteered a few times.
Oh, really?
One of the tables, but we were.
I didn't know you guys still talking.
One of our previous Rotarians worked for the Art Museum for a while, so.
Oh, okay.
So, but it was a fun event. As you're here, I'm like, oh, we should ask one.
Yeah, no, great question.
So, John, We have an Imagine coin for you.
Okay.
Thank you for our.
Is it like a happy dollar?
Well.
Can I imagine happiness?
Yeah, just like rub it and maybe the genie will come out. I just watched that incredible movie, 3,000 Years.
I love it.
Was. Anyhow, just enjoy. We really appreciate your time.
I love being here. Thanks to all of you. And
as an art historian, I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Ask one favor.
Oh, sure.
You could draw the winning lottery ticket.
Oh, wow. All right.
All right. The winning ticket is 219540.
219540. Ann O'Connell again.
Ah,
Oh, good.
they were the captains.
All right.
That was good. Do you have some cards?
Yeah, so I have passes that I'm going to just put out at every table.
Do we know how big the
Enough
progressive
for
pot
two.
is right now?
That's good. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Oh, it was again 2 weeks ago? Oh, wait, oh, yes, that's right. That's right, Redmond won, yes, right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, John, thank you so much for today. And since we're downtown and you're downtown, please join us for lunch, 12 o'clock on Tuesdays. We'd love to have you back. And you certainly, through the museum's work, touched on all the modalities. You have the art, you have the music, and you certainly have the physical component. So thank you for doing that. So if I were a gifted child or a gifted adult, I would certainly love to come to the museum because you touch everybody. So, and again, it's also important for mental health. So music, art, and exercise go hand in hand with good mental health. So thank you for touching all the modalities. So congratulations on a job well done. And again, like David Miller, I helped with the brewery type event, and I did Mucky Ducks, but Mucky Ducks went out of business, so I hope that was no indication of my service.
Worked very well.
So I had a fun time pouring, and sampling also, needless to say. I was negligent in not thanking David Lavalier for his military service. David has taken such a lead role in remembering our veterans. So thank you, David, for your service in the Army. So thank you for that. So, appreciate it. And Dr. Hall, Susan, thank you for all your dedication this past year for our outbound and inbound students. So you've done an incredible job. So thank you, Susan, for all of us for the wonderful job that you did. So we have lots to be thankful for. So everyone take care. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. And I believe, Connor, you're our...
Guess so.
Yeah, Connor's our guest speaker, and we also have a board meeting. So if you're on the board, don't forget 10:45 next Tuesday. And we look forward to seeing you then, and have a great week. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.